Here I have a Legion Go 2 and a Legion Go 2. This one here has the Z2, not the Z2A, the Z2, which is the 780M based iGPU. Very similar to the Z1 Extreme, but however, it supposedly has better efficiency. Spoiler, it does. It has better efficiency. Raw performance is up maybe a little bit, but mainly you're getting better efficiency. This one here has the Z2E. So this is the best you can get right now. It has the 890M. Both of them are running SteamOS because SteamOS is better than Windows. There's obviously some limitations to it, but it runs very well in these handhelds. So we're going to compare here the Z2. Okay, starting here in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, we can see here that we are running at 35 watts. We're going to go through a little bit of wattage scaling here to kind of see how it performs. They're both running SteamOS, so they'll have nice static performance, but we can see here at 35 watts, we're looking at frames different is pretty considerable, dropping down to 30 here. It's still pretty considerable here. We are looking at a 7 or 8 FPS difference. I mean, that's 12%, 13%, even 15%. It's very good. Then dropping down a little bit further, all the way down to 25 watts. And again, we are about the same, 6 or 7 FPS higher, which is pretty considerable. We're looking at, again, 15% or so. So that is considerable. I mean, they're both doing well, however, especially in SteamOS here. Drop down even further, all the way down to 20 watts here. And we're going to have a look here. Pretty close, not exactly, but pretty close to being 10 almost. Kind of the same down here, these low watts. It's actually kind of bad regardless, but that's a very low watts for a game like this. This is actually deep. At the lower watts, they're not that different. They're actually very close. At the higher watts, it seems that they do separate out slightly. Yeah, it's about 10% over there. You'll notice here on both images, there's no micro stutter. This game is terrible with DRM issues and micro stutter in Windows. It doesn't even matter what hardware you use. You can use the most powerful hardware around. You get terrible micro stutter. We just don't have that here. The fact that we're running Windows. The fact that we're running Steam instead of Windows. Okay, now this area is going to be very brutal. And there'll be some initial pop-in and stutter. It's not as bad on this one, actually. But that's just when the texture pops in. After that, it should be pretty static at lower performance, but okay. Doing considerably better here at this 20 wattage on this one than on the Z1. It's very noticeable here. I mean, we're looking at 10 frames more, 8 to 10 frames, which is almost 20% in this case. It's pretty significant. Okay, a little bit of Pragmata. Okay, looking at some Pragmata here, I did run through to an area, all the enclosed areas. There was a pretty big gap for the Z2. We're looking at, 10, 15%. Wasn't that interesting? But here, much more dynamic scene. 20 watts, dropped it down here to 20 watts, just to kind of see that lower wattage scaling. And it's a little tough here to capture because there's so much going on. But on average, the Z2E is faster, I would say. probably about 10%, potentially more faster here, but it really does kind of depend on what you're looking at. Very hard to replicate the same scene in this game in like a fighting scenario, but yeah, it's doing well. Regardless, in both cases, it is doing quite well. Very, very playable, especially in SteamOS, but there is an obvious edge to the Z2. But, I mean, regardless, they're pretty close, right? In both cases, we're kind of hovering around 40 watts. It can go up depending on what you're looking at there, but they're, you know, they're pretty close in these dynamic CPU-based scenes here. Okay, here we go. Once again, we're looking at around 10-ish% higher performance. When you get slammed by the CPU here, I mean, regardless, you're going to have a hard time. Okay, do a little voiceover here because it's hard to focus when you're actually playing this game. 30 watts here. I mean, there's a decent gap between the two of them. It's not staggering, but once again, we are looking at, this is a fairly CPU-heavy scene. There's lots going on, lots to calculate. And I mean, the Z2 is ahead. Z2E, sorry, is ahead over the Z2. And certain games, it can pull ahead quite a bit. Saw that in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. You know, and then some scenes, if you're very CPU heavy, the Pragmata, when there's a lot of chaos going on, you know, they're pretty close. Here, I mean, again, it's pulling ahead probably 5, 6, even 7 FPS on average. It's hard to, you know, match everything up perfectly, but we are definitely ahead, right, on average, probably around 15 to 20%, depending on what's going on. Pretty decent jump here, 10% performance or so. Maybe even 20, depending. Interesting, it's very similar at lower watts. But when the watts are higher, it does perform better. Either way, very good. Okay, so that basically wraps it up. Most other games you were looking at probably around 10 or 15% more performance on the Z2E. Depended, there were some cases where it was 20, but you know, it's margin of error or so. But I'd say around 15%, plus minus. That's kind of where it's at. So decent upgrade. I mean, is it worth it if you get the Z1 version of this? The Z2 Go is not great, or Z2A, whatever, is not great. But if you get the, you know, Z1 version of this, if you get the Z2 version of this with the 780M, you can potentially save hundreds of dollars. You get everything else is exactly the same, but you do save hundreds of dollars going with the performance that's lower. Now it is lower performance, 15%. That may be considerable for you, especially at these lower frame rates where, you know, you're really struggling to get to maybe like 50 or 60. That could be significant depending how you want to do it. However, everything else is exactly the same. So if you want to get into the Legion Go 2, all the fixins with the detachable controllers, excellent screen, excellent ergonomics, everything, good quiet fan noise, all that stuff, SteamOS running really well on it. And you know, like, it doesn't take much for this thing to get Steam running. Like I did, everything here worked natively. The only thing is the brightness had one script. I literally put one script into the console in the desktop. That's it. And then that was the only thing that didn't work out of the box, and it took 2 seconds. Yeah, so I mean,
it's great, to be honest. Now, why would you want to install Steam? Well, huge performance boost in the lows, especially like Final Fantasy especially. You can see it's terrible when you're not running Steam. It's a mess, honestly. It's going to be a stuttery mess. You're going to get really, really, really bad lows, especially. It's just not a great experience. When you go with SteamOS, you're not necessarily running into all those DRM, all those engine issues. It's a lot better. Resources generally are better in Steam, so it's more efficient. With a 16 gigabyte system, it can be considerable. With 32, it's not really a RAM issue, but there's still the performance benefits. But, I mean, yeah, the main thing is the lows. The average may be a little bit higher, but the lows are really where you notice it. You'll notice here there was no micro stutter in any games. It had the performance. It had the performance. It's very good. The other thing is, I mean, of course, you know, you can just sleep your system like that. Hit the sleep button. Right, it's the sleep. Come back right in the game. Right? You can't do that in Windows. I'm sorry, you can't. Windows Sleep is trash. It's truly trash. I don't even like on my laptops, my desktops, I disable sleep. I actually disable sleep. I don't want sleep at all. I only use Hibernate. And even that's not great, but it's better than sleep because Windows Sleep is trash. On here, you hit the power button and you sleep the system. You can come right back in the game, which for a handheld is huge for me because that's what I want to do. Right? So SteamOS is really nice. It really can make a handheld like this considerably better, more enjoyable, more playable. So definitely install SteamOS on these systems for sure. Which one you're going to get is up to you. I mean, honestly, either, depending on the price. I would be pretty happy with the Z1. Once you install Steam, I'm pretty happy with it. It's just, you know, get the system that's going to work better for you for your price budget. You know, we do have the Intel stuff coming out that will be massively faster than this. But the one negative of Intel, you get XCSS, which is going to be better. Intel, AMD is having some weird quirks with potentially not having FSR4, who knows? But regardless of the, you know, extra performance and all that kind of stuff that you can get out of the better scalers, Intel will be considerably faster, 40-50% faster. It is going to be more expensive, but maybe not much more expensive than the Legion Go 2 here. So, yeah. Whatever you do, if you have yourself a Legion Go 2, whichever one you get, I highly recommend it. Installing SteamOS for one thing. You know, people will tell you to do bad side and all that kind of stuff. Just install SteamOS. Just install SteamOS. It's very easy to do. And once you're in there, it's SteamOS, right? Like it's SteamOS, right? It's very, very straightforward. It's a great operating system. It's made specifically for gaming. It's amazing. It's one of the reasons that Steam Deck still sells, despite being very criminally underpowered because of SteamOS. So that's that there.